Welcome back to Starkiller Base. I know it's been a while since we got a video and I'm really excited to share one with you. So today we're going to do some unboxing for some Star Wars Legacies. I've got a couple of boxes here, all set to go, with my nice foam dice tray from my Feldherr box. And let's get started. I'm really happy to see this finally. We've got some Palpatine to start off, that's pretty good. It's really hard seeing all the content providers in the United States and the UK getting all their content, all their product before I got a chance to get my hands on mine. So I'm glad that I finally got my hands on some here. So we got some Palpatine here. Play an event from your hand, decreasing its cost by the number of different damage symbols showing on your dice. So he looks pretty good, and he actually can have a teammate, like a Death Trooper or hopefully something that has different damage symbols. So it's mixed damage deck. You probably want to put some secret facility in there maybe to make it speed it up a little bit here. Which magic reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Do not rearrange them. Heal damage from a character equal to the number of cards you just revealed that cost an odd number. So we see our Night Sister theme here with some really interesting healing effects and odd numbers in your deck, although that means that 0 stuff is not going to be in there. Perseverance. Action exhausts this support to reroll one of your dice. Then you may reroll it again. That sounds pretty good. And it's neutral, which is nice. Well connected. Spot a yellow character to gain 1 resource. Each opponent may draw a card. Very interesting. And we have our first battlefield here. We have the Imperial Palace in Coruscant. Claim, look at the opponent's hand and discard a card from it. Next we have this guy here. Resistance Bomber. This is one of the first supports that actually gets damage on it. After this dies resolve, place 1 damage on this support. Discard the support if it has 3 or more damage on it. It's kind of weird, this one, because there are so many supports that do damage that don't have to damage themselves. So you get cards like Rose where you can, some of the red cards where you can heal damage from supports, and you don't really need to do that if you're using a Millennium Falcon or something, so it's kind of odd. Bravado, spot a yellow character to remove an opponent's die, then deal 2 damage to a character. That's really nice. Inexpensive, of course. Shrapnel Blast, deal 1 indirect damage to an opponent, then you may remove a character die belonging to the character that was just dealt indirect damage. Interesting. So, yeah, your opponent chooses where they put the indirect damage, so it's not that great because I can just put damage on the guy that doesn't have a character die rolled in. Smuggler's Run. Activate one of your yellow characters. If one or more of its character upgrade dice just rolled a resource, gain a resource. So that's sort of like the what was that? Awakening support, where if you reroll a yellow die, and if you roll a resource, you gain a resource. Same idea, except this is it's interesting actually. I kind of like it. Reinforce. Roll a character die on one of your characters into your pool if you have another copy of that character in play. So that's obviously meant for non-uniques. That's pretty good. Alright. Pack number 3. Oh man, more droids. You'll notice that they don't have the cuts in the Starfield stuff anymore, and for some reason the arrows on the back. So we got BT1 here. Feeling a droid deck incoming. Actually, he has some pretty good damage sides on him though. After you activate the support, deal 1 indirect damage to yourself, then deal 1 indirect damage to an opponent. So that definitely works with Dr. Aphra. So we have our first plot here. Add 2 to the value of your roll for the battlefield during setup. Kind of nice. Dive. Ambush. Remove up to 3 dice showing range damage. So this is like dodge, except it has ambush and it doesn't remove all the range damage dice. Just 3. Hasty Exit. Give control of the battlefield to an opponent to remove a die showing damage. I really like this one personally because there's a lot of battlefields that you don't really... Sorry, a lot of decks that don't really care whether they control the battlefield or not. The problem is I don't believe you can play it unless you control the battlefield, because then there's no... Before the 2 is the cost here, so the stuff before the 2 is the cost. So if you can't give control of the battlefield to an opponent, then I don't think you can play it. Strength through weakness. Discard the top 4 cards of a deck. Ouch. That is rough. That's like more than 10% of a deck, and it only costs a little bit more than 1 turn worth of resources. Thinking that'll be a pretty nasty blue hero milk card. So what do we got next here? We have Hondo Ohnaka. He is a neutral character, one of the first that we have seen outside of Rivals anyway. He's pretty cool. Deal 3 damage to an opponent unless that opponent gives you 1 resource. So you can put that in some sort of choke deck, damage deck. And unlike indirect damage, you actually get to choose where it goes, which is kind of nice. You could put some decent damage together with Baton and Hondo. That'd be kind of funny. I don't think I would run that, but... So here we have Ancient Wisdom. Draw 2 cards, which is probably what Balanced Ambition should have been to stop all kinds of disgusting combos, but who knows. Light 'em up. Reroll one of your dice. If it just rolled range damage, you may resolve that die, and another one of your dice showing range damage, increasing one of their values by 2. That sounds pretty nasty, assuming that you can hit range damage when you reroll it, of course. Counter Strike. Resolve one of your dice showing damage, increasing its value by 2, and if an opponent resolves one or more dice showing that same damage symbol during their last turn this round. That is pretty nasty too. Holy cow. Delve. Deal indirect damage to yourself and play a support or upgrade from your hand for free. It is pricey, but you can play out some pretty expensive upgrades if that's the case. What do we have next? We have Dr. Aphra, which just appeared on the last card we had. So hooray. Dr. Aphra, the Artifact Hunter. The cost of the first droid you play each round is decreased by 1. After you deal indirect damage to yourself, you may draw a card. I'm not sure that drawing a card in Destiny is all that great, although it's nice to have extra cards, I suppose, and get to the ones that you're looking for faster. Alter. Turn up to 2 of your dice to sides of your choice, yours and your opponent's. That's kind of nice. Neutral. It's a little pricey. Quick Draw. Play a weapon from your hand, and one of your characters paying its cost, you may activate that character. That was one of our spoilers. It's a pretty interesting card. Quick Draw. Holster. After you activate attached character, you may reroll any number of their weapon dice. Man, oh man, if FN had access to this back in the day, that would be nasty. Although, I guess it doesn't quite work with its ability. Exhaust one of your characters to remove up to 2 dice showing damage. That's pretty good if you've got a whole bunch of characters. You're like a 4-wide hero deck, I guess. Throw a Jawa in there just for garbage shooting. That could work. So far, no legendaries. Let's see if we can find one for you. That is definitely not a legendary. It is a non-unique. The Jedi Partisan. There you go. It's the non-unique hero, yellow. After you deal indirect damage to an opponent for the first time each round, you may discard the top card of a deck. Kind of an interesting card because it sort of mills, but sort of does damage. That's my only problem with decks like that is, you know, if you're playing a deck that runs these guys, a dedicated damage deck is probably going to kill you before you can kill them. But a dedicated mill deck will probably mill you before you can mill them. So, unless you can figure things out, it's kind of weird. Ambush. Remove a total of up to 3 shields from any number of characters. That's pretty good. Shrapnel Blast we've seen. Quick Draw Holster we've seen. Stronger you have become. Count the number of upgrades you have in play. Reroll up to that many dice. Yours and your opponent's. Not bad. Not bad. Rerolling dice is pretty good, but when it's your action and you reroll your opponent's dice, if they reroll well, then they can just smack you. But we still see people running sound the alarm and sort of stuff because they're just generally good cards, especially when someone's connecting a whole bunch of range damage sides with modified sides and whatnot. So we have Gang up here. X is equal to the number of yellow characters you have in play. So if you have a 4-wide yellow list, this could be really nasty. Of course, your character that you played on will get wiped out really fast because a 4-wide character list generally doesn't have a lot of hit points. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, add one of them to your hand, and place the rest on top of your deck in the order of your choice. Kind of cool. Attack, run, ambush, activate one of your supports. Okay. I guess that's alright. I think I like partnership better, but it costs less. Spot a right character to turn up to 2 of your dice to side showing indirect damage. I could see how that would be useful in an indirect damage deck. Sudden impact. Remove one of your dice showing damage, then deal damage then deal damage to each of an opponent's characters equal to half of that value, rounded up. That is not bad. Not bad at all. You need to get a really big damage die, of course, but that gives you some versatility if you're running big damage dice and you're playing against a 2 character or 1 character list, then you just deal the damage. Oh, look who I see! Yay! I haven't played much on TTS, but I hear he is good. I actually didn't realize until the other day that he has no blanks. I'm sad to say, but he is amazingly versatile. I mean, he doesn't do any damage directly, but he is definitely an enabler, and he is fantastic in a control deck or a mill deck, that's for sure. So I'm glad to see that I got one of him. Imperial Might, resolve one of your dice, increasing its value by 2. Ouch. Strength in numbers, deal indirect damage to an opponent equal to the number of exhausted characters you have. Hello, Battle Droid deck. My goodness. Pay 2 and do like 6 indirect damage, that'd be kind of cool. Remove 1 shield from each character. This is kind of interesting, except for the fact that it hits your characters as well, but I guess that's why it costs 0. And if you're playing a deck that doesn't run shields, then it's not too bad. The Power Generator Trench. Claim, turn a die to any side. Not bad. Kind of interesting. I guess if your opponent has no cards left, then claiming and turning one of their dice to something that is unusable is pretty good. Oh, FFG, what are you doing to me? We'll come back to that one. Oh, we got some Newt. It's another character I'm quite excited about. Very interesting here. Newt Gunray. Each opponent gains 1 fewer resource during the upkeep phase to a minimum of 1, unless that opponent discards the top 2 cards of their deck. Ouch. So, definitely he is a mill character, and he's got that indirect damage side, which is probably not what you want to see when you're playing a mill deck, but hey, his other sides are not bad. And 811 is pretty good. Put him in for 1 die because his ability is good whether he's got 1 die or not, and you can do some pretty serious stuff. And you'll note that everything that reduces the amount of resources you gain during upkeep says to a minimum of 1, so that's probably a good design. Dark Scheme, look at the top 5 cards of an opponent's deck. Discard 1 of them and place the rest of them on top of their deck in the order of your choice. That's the opposite of the hero one, which is kind of cool. Backup Specialist, exhaustive support to reroll up to 2 of your dice. Reusable rerolling, sounds good to me. Oh my goodness, I'll take it. Ice Storm. Yoda's Hut, exhaustive support to give a character a shield. Gain 1 resource if that character has 3 or more shields. Kind of interesting, I suppose. I'm not sure. I guess with Yoda giving your character shields, and if you're playing, what would we call it, POTA art, like P2 with Yoda, you'd have shields for days and get money to play at some gross upgrades. We got here, oh my goodness, no, it's Jar Jar Binks. He's very, very interesting. Probably one of the most fan-created cards I saw in Destiny before we had him actually come out here. Any player may take an action to force you to activate this character. After you activate this character, reroll all dice showing a symbol not showing on his character dice. So, ideally, you would like to, you'll see he has no melee and range damage sides, so you want your opponent to roll in their characters that have melee and range damage first, and then roll him in and make them reroll those. Of course, your opponent can take an action to force you to reroll him in first, but, I mean, he only costs 9 for elites, so it's definitely interesting. I want to play around with him. Easy yellow splash, and some interesting reusable die control if you play your cards right. And some people, if you don't see him played a lot, then your opponents will have a hard time figuring out how to play against him. Reroll 1 of your character dice and an opponent's character die. You choose. Then deal 2 damage to each character whose die rolled the lowest value. Both characters if it's a tie. Very interesting card. Sort of like the they had a blue one where you roll in and then the character that rolls lower loses their dice. Kind of like that, but less punishing. Cover Team. Exhaustive support to resolve 1 of your dice showing indirect damage, increasing its value by 1. We've seen something similar to that before, except it costs more, and it was for range damage. So this is kind of neat. You could definitely whittle someone down with indirect damage, but I'd rather just outright kill a character and get rid of some dice and upgrades if I could. Feel the Force. Turn a blue die to any side. Okay. Suppression Field. Discard the support if it has 3 or more damage on it. Action exhaustive support to remove a die showing damage. Place damage on this support equal to the value showing on that die. Kind of an interesting card, but I mean, there's a lot of dice where basically you would just use it once and it's gone, which is sad. So you'll have to run in a deck that can heal damage off supports, and hopefully that will make it more viable. But at 2 cost, that is not cheap. some blue card in here. Force Meditation. Seen that art before. Not bad. To play spot a blue character, discard the top 2 cards of a deck. Sounds like Yoda has a new friend. Consumed by the dark side. I really like the art on that one. Deal 1 damage to one of your blue characters. Turn a die to a side showing a blank. Attack, run, impulsive, ambush. Resolve one of your dice. Okay. That's kind of cool. Especially in a mixed damage deck, you could just do the 1-2 punch. Crush the rebellion. Remove a die showing damage, then deal indirect damage to an opponent equal to half that value on the die. Round it up. Okay, that's kind of cool. So I can remove your die showing damage and then you take damage. So it's sort of like a red villain deflect that works on any damage type, except it costs twice as much and doesn't require you to spot a character, so that's not bad. Oh boy, here's the second version of Finn that I hear no one is going to be playing. Do like the art on that one. Move 1 damage from a card to another card in play. This ignores shields, so that's pretty good. It's a repeatable willpower. I mean, that is a 2 damage swing and a heal effect. Looks alright, but I don't know. I mean, technically you got 4 damage sides. Could be okay. Spell of removal. Spot a blue character to discard the top card of a deck. If it is an odd number, remove a die. You'll note that you can remove your card, I suppose. I'm not sure why you would want to, but if you're building a Night Sister deck, you probably want odd numbered cards anyway, and you'll make it more likely that your card will actually do something when you play it. Dive again. Unbreakable. Remove a die showing a value equal to or less than the number of shields on your characters. That could be really, really good. Guess Blue Heroes is getting strong again. Stronger. Spot a character. Spot a blue character to resolve one of your dice showing a modifier as if it did not have a modifier. Okay. That's kind of ironic, and considering that one is called Legacies and the one called Awakenings did the same effect, but it was just a support instead of an event. So what do we got here? Oh, I see the rifle boo. I was hoping it was Zeb, but I'll take it. Zeb needs his rifle. This card is kind of ridiculous. Spend 1 resource to resolve this die showing a modifier as if it did not have a modifier. Very interesting, and if you combine it with Zeb's dice can be resolved as melee or range damage, so you have a 4 in 6 chance of having this connect with his dice effectively. Very interesting. Seen that one already. Citadel Landing Zone. Reroll any number of your dice, then you may resolve one of your dice. Kind of cool. Scruffy looking Nerf Herder. I love that one. Choose one of the following card types, event, support, or upgrade, then look at an opponent's hand and discard a card of the chosen type from it. That's pretty good. Cantina Brawl, one of my favorite thematic cards. Deal 1 damage to an opponent's character. Then that opponent may discard a card from their hand to repeat this effect. So you can just discard cards and have this fist fight back and forth until someone gives up. It's pretty funny. We got this guy. There he is, the Dark Advisor. Who looks suspiciously like Kylo Ren. Draw 3 cards, then place a card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. There's kind of an interesting little dude. Should be interesting to see how people play him. Face Off. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Petronaki Arena on Geonosis. Deal 1 indirect damage to yourself and 1 unblockable damage to a character. Sorry, deal 1 indirect damage to yourself to deal 1 unblockable damage to a character. Interesting. Impulsive. No cheating. Deal damage to an opponent's character equal to the number of additional actions that opponent took during their last turn this round. Where were you for the past, 6 months? Cool card, though. The Mortar Team. Those are some clone troopers. While you control the battlefield, you may resolve the indirect damage sides of this die as if they were range damage. Not bad for 2. Not bad. Alter. Equip. Move a weapon from one of your characters to another character. That's not bad if your character's about to die and you can do something about it. Diplomatic. Protection, not immunity. Of course, before attached character is defeated, you may discard this upgrade to give each of your other characters 2 shields. That sounds pretty good. I'm not so sure, but it sounds good. Oh, we got one of the other guys that I'm really interested in playing. The mighty Grand Moff Tarkin. Power action. Remove 2 of your dice showing the same symbol to deal 4 indirect damage to an opponent. I was looking at, was it Mike Gem from the Hyperloops? He was running Tarkin with 7th Sister, so he get that extra starting die. And he was saying that people were actually removing blanks to stop the power action from happening, which makes a lot of sense because, I mean, 2 blanks into 4 indirect damage sounds pretty nasty. Looks like we have an intruder on the table here. Hello, Tiger. Remote stockpile. Exhausted support to place 1 resource on it or take all resources from it. So it's sort of like Underworld Connections, but it costs 1 less and takes a turn longer to start working. Play a vehicle from your hand, decreasing its cost by 1, then place 1 damage on it. Really handy card for a vehicle deck, particularly a vehicle deck that doesn't run vehicles that matters if they take damage. Off the table, cat. Superior position. Play only if you control the battlefield or remove a die. Wow, that is a lot worse than defensive position, but hey. Profitable connection. You start the game with 1 additional resource. Not bad. Get a Lando deck together with profitable connection and you start with 4 resources. You can just play a 4-cost support out right from the get-go. That'd be pretty handy. Got some gray in here. What do we have? We have the Stun Baton. After a character takes damage from this die, you may spend 1 resource to remove 1 of that character's character dice. Ouch. That's pretty good. And it is neutral and gray, so everyone can use it. Mislead. Remove a character die showing a value of 2 or less. So it's like a isolation that's neutral, but not as good. Take flight. Ambush. Reroll up to 2 of your yellow dice. That could be alright. No good to be dead. Heal up to 2 damage from an opponent's character. Gain resources equal to the amount of damage you just healed. I don't know about this one. I would run it in a mill deck that does incidental damage, I suppose, because 2 resources is pretty good and you don't care if you heal somebody. Special modification. Remove 3 damage from a support or turn a support die to any side. Not bad. I mean, that I was talking about the resistance bomber before and how if you didn't run a lot of cards that do damage to themselves, then it doesn't do you much good, but that other ability on it, of course, can be used at any time, so why not? I still like my Hera Vehicles deck from Empire War, still my favorite deck. We got the E11 Blaster, not to be confused with the F11D Blaster. Oh boy. Oh boy. So, similar die sides, except without that pay side, I think it was. Or a deck is, it doesn't have the special. But it's got redeploy. So, I have a hard time keeping track of all the F11D, the IQA, the, you know, all these sort of things. I wish they would just call them actual names, but that's how Star Wars works, so hey. Seen it. The Force is with me. Remove a die showing range damage or indirect damage. So, I guess it makes sense. He can't dodge a melee attack like that. Defend, which is the opposite of that other one with Dr. Aphra on it. Ambush, remove up to 3 dice showing melee damage. Not bad. Easy picking. Spotty yellow character to remove 2 dice showing the same symbol and value. Ignore modifiers and resource costs. Kind of cool. There are times where that could blow a turn pretty easily, and then times that could fall flat on its face. We have the Republic Cruiser. Give a unique character 2 shields, or give each of your unique characters 1 shield. I see what they did there. That's kind of clever. I guess you don't want to run that in a 4-wide vehicle deck that doesn't have unique characters. But if you were running... well, my Hera Vehicles deck is Elite Hera, Elite Maz, and a Rookie Pilot. But if you put Ezra in instead of the Rookie Pilot, that would be pretty decent for 2. Seen it. Crackdown. Play only if each of an opponent's characters has 1 or more damage on them. Gain 1 resource. Okay. Dangerous maneuver. Heal 2 damage from one of your characters. Deal 2 indirect damage to yourself. So basically it allows you to sort of like, what is it, draw attention in a way. Except you can actually spread it out even further. This is one of the cards that I'm really interested in seeing. Ataru Strike. Resolve one of your blue character dice showing melee damage, increasing its value by the number of shields on the character. That has the potential to be very, very painful. Got some rows here. Gain a resource, you may remove 1 damage from a sport. Okay, not bad. I guess if you want resources to play out vehicles, that's not too bad at all, actually. 8-11. Which magic? Force with me. Outnumber. Play only if an opponent has fewer characters than you and play remove 1 of an opponent's dice. Well, that could be pretty easy to do in a 4-wide deck. Fortify. After setup, give a character a shield. Not bad. I like these plot cards. They look kind of like full art or something. Just the way that their templating is. And of course, I always wondered, you know, if you build a deck that only uses 27 points, it's kind of unfortunate. So I'm glad that they filled it out and allow you to do that. What do we got here? Bartering. Gain 1 resource. You may force each player to draw a card. It's not bad in a mill deck. It's got a discard side. It's got focus. It's got money. And if you're playing, I guess villain mill is more hand destruction. But I mean, if your opponent has no cards left, you can force them to draw a card, and then you can discard it. So that's not bad. Stolen intel. After setup, draw a card. Okay, start the game with 6 cards. Seen that one. Force an opponent to choose a card in their hand. Look at all the other cards in their hand and discard one of them. That's not bad. Preemptive strike. After setup, deal 2 indirect damage to an opponent. Wow. That's a good start. How'd you like to start with 12 hit points, Palpatine? That's one of the problems with Palpatine in this new set, of course, is that indirect damage is powerful, and the numbers are generally higher because your opponent gets to choose where they are, but if you're playing a 1-character list, guess what? It's just as effective as melee damage. So we got Grand Moff here. Unique red character only. Power action. Use the claim ability on the battlefield or switch the battlefield where the battlefield is not being used but was brought to the game. Kind of interesting. Ridiculously expensive. Yeah. Resolve one of your dice, increasing its value by 2. We've seen that one yet. Cover team, seen that. No good to be dead. Vandalize. Remove a number of your character dice equal to the cost of a support or upgrade and play to discard it. Okay. Sort of reminds me of Sabotage, except it's character dice instead of cards. The Vibro Cutlass. That was another Starkiller base got spoiled. It has redeploy. Decrease the resource cost on this die while the upgrade is on a yellow character. I think that's a really interesting card. It's very, very expensive, but the damage on that is ridiculous. I mean, the damage sides on it are ridiculous. It's almost like blackmail values with no penalty, but it costs more, I suppose. Onkar would love this if you could fit him in any decks. Remove a shield from one of your characters to gain a resource. Kind of cool. Strength in numbers. Dangerous maneuver. Profitable connection. Okay, at least we're speeding through this now. Now that we've seen some of these cards here. Ground Battalion. That is a very expensive. After you activate the support, you may take control of the battlefield. Very interesting. You're playing defensive position or something like that. Except this costs 4. But those damage sides are kind of ridiculous. So I could see it. Shelter. Remove a die showing indirect damage. Okay. I guess if the meta becomes prevalent with indirect damage, sure. Refit. Bamboozle. Yes, I said bamboozle. Remove it. Oh, reroll an opponent's die. If it just rolled a blank, take 1 resource from them. Okay, sure. I am your father. Resolve an opponent's character die as if it were your own, unless that opponent discards all cards from their hand. Super handy, except for the Destiny problem where if they have no cards in hand, your opponent just goes, yeah, I'll discard all my cards. Looks like we got a clone trooper in here. Clone trooper. There we go. After you activate this character, you may reroll this die, or if you control the battlefield, you may reroll 1 of your character dice. Kind of cool. I guess it's got 2 blanks, like a First Order Stormtrooper, but The damage sides are none of them are paid, and it's got that. I mean, that's basically the Z6 Riot Control Baton's ability in a sense, so it's pretty good. Nicely, target practice. I like that art. Reroll any number of your red dice, then reroll any number of your red dice. Okay, let's make sure that your red dice are consistent. That looks pretty good. Subdue. Choose a character that has 3 or more damage on it. Remove one of its character or upgrade dice. Really good, unless you see it turn 1 or 2, or the character that has the problem, or that's rolling the problem dice, is not your target. But I suppose the guy that has the nastiest dice would be your first target, otherwise you're doing something wrong anyway, so it's not too bad. Roguish Charm. There we go. Yellow character only. Remove a die showing damage. Gain resources equal to the resource cost showing on it, not its value. You had me for a minute, but no, after that. So unless your opponent has a lot of dice that have resource sides, or sorry, pay sides, then it's not all that useful. Respite. Exhaust one of your characters to gain a resource and draw a card. That's really good. Sort of like Dredge Work, except it's not repeatable. Perseverance. Yeah, we've seen that one. Unbreakable. Nicest or Coven. After a character die rolls a blank, you may exhaust his support to reveal the top card of a deck. If it is an odd number, deal 1 damage to that character. So yeah, the problem with these, if it is odd, do this, is that you'll be tempted to build a deck of your own that has only odd numbered cards to make it consistent as possible, but the problem is you're milling yourself every time you trigger that effect, which is less than ideal and really bad when you're playing against a mill deck. So, oh, we got the electric razor. There it is. Shave that beard, Qui-Gon. The Hush 98 Comlink. Action. Remove this die to activate any number of your characters or supports in the order of your choice. That is pretty cool. And the die sets are pretty good. I mean, that's a lot of focus and resources and whatnot. Respite. Law and Order. Spot a red character to discard and upgrade from play. Dang. Most upgrades cost less than 3, but hey. Thrawn Car would have loved that back in the day. Defensive Teaching. Each of your blue characters can have 1 additional shield. That is very powerful in the right deck. And Ataru Strike says hello. Oh, here's another one that forms the basis of a deck that that everyone is interested in playing, frankly. The Separatist Landing Craft. Spend 2 resources to add a battle droid to your team. Discard this support from play. Woo. That is really interesting, especially since you can recurse it from your discard pile with a couple of battlefields and whatnot. And battle droids, man, they're not bad, especially for 2 resources. What's interesting is apparently if you run Cunning in your deck, you should actually bring battle droid cards and battle droid dice, because if you ever run up against someone running the landing craft, you can trigger it yourself and put them into play in your team. And the rule apparently is that if you do not have the card and dice, then you cannot trigger the effect. So keep that in mind. Frighten, strengthen numbers, defend, final moment. Ready each of your characters. After the action phase ends, you lose the game. That's a very interesting card. It's sort of like the price of failure, where you're trying to kill somebody as a last-ditch effort. But of course, it really is a last-ditch effort if you don't kill everybody with your second activation of everybody. That could get real ugly. Oh, I see some Boombas. Is that what they're called? Runaway Boombas. Power action. Spend a resource to roll Runaway Boombas die into your pool. Set that die aside after it is resolved or removed. That could be pretty gross. If you've got focus, you could do some ridiculous damage, but Feel Your Anger says hello, because that is a lot of blanks. Battle Fatigue. Play only feature of your characters as 1 more. Oh, I already read that one. Sorry. Quick Draw. Well Connected. Yep. Bubble Shield. You may distribute indirect damage to this support as if it were a character with 3 health. Discard this support if it has 3 or more damage on it. That sounds pretty good if the meta goes heavy into indirect damage. Especially when you can heal it. The ETA-2 Interceptor. That's a lot of damage sides. remove this die or one of your dice showing a shield to exhaust the support. Okay. In a support heavy meta, that would be alright. Bodyguard. Non-unique character only. Attached character has the Guardian keyword. Okay. That looks awfully familiar, except it is gray and neutral and more restricted in this case. Auto cannon. +4 indirect damage. Wow. Sometimes the best tactic is to not aim. I like it. That is a lot of damage. Holy smokes. And non-unique. I guess that would be alright on Finn, except you'd have a mix of pay sides and modified sides and pay modified sides and everything. Locked and loaded. Seen that one, seen that one. Okay. We're running out of packs here, but we've got 2 more legendaries to pull unless I mess something up. Well, there's someone else I'm looking forward to trying out. Ayla Secura. Turn one of your blue or red dice to any side. Turn an opponent's die to any side. That is pretty cool. Poe and Ayla have some special chains to say hello to you, sir. Or ma'am. Number command bridge. Exhausted support to activate 2 of your non-unique characters in the order of your choice. So it's like a reusable squad tactics, but not all of your non-unique characters, but that's all right. I see a Jedi Temple Guardian. Jedi Temple Guard. There we go. Guardian. Yay. Not bad. Reminds me of a Royal Guard for heroes. Except they're guarding a temple instead of a emperor. Target practice, subdue, into the garbage chute. Okay. The second unboxing video will be a lot faster because we've seen most of the cards. The modified HWK290. After you play the support, place 2 damage on it. After you activate the support, deal indirect damage to yourself equal to the damage on it. Oh my goodness. I guess that's the downside for it having ridiculous amounts of damage sides, which are not bad. So if you can put that thing out and then heal it, you can do some really interesting things. Scruffy looking nerf herder. Double strike. Resolve one of your dice showing melee damage without removing it from your pool. That sounds familiar, except it lacks ambush and it only works on melee dice. And his villain. Don't scare me like that, box. Doesn't figure the pack I set aside must have a legendary in it. Am I missing something? I'm probably missing something. I must have filed legendaries in the wrong place. Rebel Traitor. After you activate this character, you may force an opponent to activate one of their characters as their next action this round if able. Kinda cool. Stolen intel. Quick draw. That is a yellow pack. Holy cow. Lure. Ambush. Choose an opponent's character or support and force them to activate it if able. Interesting. So you can force them in and then you can mitigate it. Because it is ambush. Lookout post. Yes, I definitely have not been paying attention to which ones are legendaries apparently. That is a lot of modified indirect damage. Holy cow. Play only if you control the battlefield. Resolve one of your dice showing indirect damage as if it were range damage. Launch deck. Remove one of your dice to deal indirect damage to an opponent equal to half the value on it showing on it rounded up. Not bad. Not bad. So it looks like that's it for box 1. I'm going to go check and make sure that I have all my legendaries, and I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I'm apparently a lot of touch as to who are legendaries in this set. So we got Tarkin, we got Zeb's Rifle, Dr. Aphra, Grand Moff, Finn, and Yoda. So 4 characters. I always say 4 characters as far as legendaries go is a good box. So I will take it. So that is box number 1. Stay tuned for box number 2.